You can't win an election without your base. I have sympathy for Joe Biden and the Democrats' political problem here. But it's why, as he's leaving office, he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Anything that he touts as a great accomplishment, as a great part of his legacy, some huge faction of his Democrat win a non-consecutive second term. He is simply a world historic figure. He has recalibrated the Republican Party after decades of stagnation. And now he might expand the territory of the United States by bringing in our Arctic neighbors and liberating them from their Danish tyrannical overlords. And he will do that with the help of my friend, Congressman Andy Ogles. Andy, thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So President Trump floated this back in the first term. He said, we should have Greenland. It's strategic. It's close to us. There's no reason that Denmark should be ruling Greenland. The Greenlanders don't really like Denmark that much. We want Greenland. And everyone made fun of him and everyone laughed. And then in the last month or so, President Trump brought up this Greenland idea again. People still thought he was joking, but he's been telling this joke for a while. Maybe it seems like there's some truth to it. And then just yesterday, I believe, you introduced a beautifully named Make Greenland Great Again bill in the U.S. House of Representatives. To do what? What would this legislation do?
Well, it would authorize the purchase of Greenland. And so that, essentially what would happen is that the president would begin negotiations with Denmark, come up with some sort of deal, and then he would transmit the details of that bill to Congress. And look, it might sound crazy, and one might ask, why would you want Greenland? But when you look at the activities of China and Russia in the Arctic Circle, they're literally operating on our doorstep. Not to mention that Greenland is rich with resources, and China has been making a play for those resources. So we have an obligation to the American people, to North America, quite frankly, to secure that territory. And Denmark has acknowledged that they have failed in securing it. I mean, we have a larger military security presence in Greenland than freaking Denmark does. Look, they're pissed off at me, quite frankly. They called yesterday and demanded a meeting. But look, at the end of the day, it's America first, right? It's not America second. We're not isolationists, but we have to take care of ourselves, because when the world gets in trouble, who are they going to call? They're going to call the United States of America. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, it's going to be hard pressed to take care of anyone else.
They're not calling Denmark, I'll tell you that. I think that the Greenland issue is a great political IQ test, actually, because if you ask the average Democrat, establishment media listening lib on the street, you say, what do you think Trump wants to buy Greenland? They'll probably pull their hair out. They'll say it's the craziest idea. He's a madman, whatever. But if you just look at the political history of this question, it's not difficult. You can just Google it. One sees the United States has been attempting to purchase or otherwise acquire Greenland for about 150 years now. This has been going on since the 19th century, shortly after the Civil War. Then again, after World War II, President Truman tried to purchase Greenland because of its strategic significance, both as a matter of geography and also a matter of resources. This is actually one of the most long-standing plays of the U.S. State Department. So on the contrary, it's not some crazy shoot from the hip kind of idea. This is a pretty mainstream idea. And to your point, Andy, with China and other adversaries moving in on our turf, it would seem to be actually incumbent upon us to protect our interests. So nuts and bolts, what are the odds that this happens? Some people will say, well, the president can just try to acquire Greenland on his own. Why does he need the U.S. Congress to authorize this sort of thing? And how likely is it that Greenland actually becomes a part of the U.S.?
Well, to be determined. What I will say that there's a poll out there, and the majority of Greenlanders would prefer to be a territory of the United States versus attached to some, woke state in Europe. That being said, I think this has got more momentum than I think people realize. Obviously, we've got to get to the 20th and all that is going to go on over the next few days. It's a very exciting time here in D.C. But that being said, there's interest in the Senate to have a companion bill to actually push this thing through, to send a message to Europe, Denmark, and to Greenland that we're serious about this. Like you said, this is a historical play. This has been going on. It's been in our best interest for a very long time. And now we have bad actors, Russia and China, who are literally literally operating on our doorstep. And if we were to acquire Greenland, that gives us a 200-mile radius there, nautical miles that we would control and have sovereignty over. So that's a big deal. And what that does is that creates strategic buffer for the United States of America when you look at any sorts of aggression from anyone. But again, look, there's three existential threats to the United States of America: our southern border, our debt, and China. And one of those is literally operating on our doorstep in the Arctic Circle. They want Greenland. They want to have a military presence up there. Why? It's not because they're worried about Canada. It's because they're worried about the United States of America. They want to see us on our knees. We have an obligation to think forward and to, again, this is 4D chess, right? We've got to move and outmove China as they look. Look, they think in terms of dynasties. They're always thinking on a 100-year plan. We think in the terms of Starbucks and the next drive-through. We've got to get out of that mentality and understand our adversary, China, wants us subservient to them.
That's absolutely right. And we have unified government right now. So some people, we don't have physics class anymore so much, but Congress has the purse strings. I think it is quite wise and prudent for Congress to say, all right, we're backing this play, Mr. President. If you want to engage in negotiations to acquire Greenland, we're with you. Hopefully we can get the Senate on board as well. And hopefully Republicans can actually use the power that the voters have given them in a unified way and protect the interests of the U.S. Andy Ogles, one of the very best in Washington, D.C. Thank you for coming on the show. And I look forward to seeing you at inauguration later on this week and early next week.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you.
Very exciting. Making Greenland great again. Making America big and Arctic again. I am all about it.